What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to a brand new episode of Maximus the Fourth. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you guys through the absolute complete history of Pepsi Wild Cherry. I will go back as far as I possibly can in time to showcase to you guys what the original cans were, what the original name brands were before it even became Pepsi Wild Cherry, etc. There's so much more. You wouldn't believe how much history there is to Pepsi Wild Cherry. So without further ado, if you've clicked on this video, fasten your seatbelts because we're digging deep for this one. Get your popcorn, hit that full screen button, and most of all, most importantly, sit back and enjoy the show. Let's do this. Here we go. Dating all the way back in 1982, there was an annual fairgrounds event that was located in Nashville, Tennessee. Coca-Cola just so happened to be there, and what they were doing is they were trying to come out with a new ultimate flavor in order to compete with Dr. Pepper. So what they did is they put together 4 new flavors to put out as a test marketing sampler for consumers so they could come up with which one was the best one for Coca-Cola themselves. The 4 flavors that they released for the taste testing marketing campaign was Coca-Cola Lime, Coca-Cola Lemon, Cherry Coke, and Vanilla Coke. By the time this taste testing campaign was all said and done, the consumers made it very clear that Cherry Coke was the undisputed winner. Now, I believe 3 years later, in 1985, once the PepsiCo headquarters in Ontario, Canada, received the news, what they did is they put together this elite team in which they went by the code name of Rambo, and they put them to work on an epic 5-week work streak. And then it was official. Cherry Pepsi was officially released in Ontario, Canada. Pepsi moved so ridiculously fast that even though Coca-Cola themselves was mountains ahead of them when it came to the release of their cherry flavor, just hours before Coke released their new flavor of Cherry Coke, Pepsi beat them just by hours. And this is very impressive because this was back in the 80s, in 1985, when Coca-Cola and PepsiCo were at the absolute pinnacle of their rivalry. Now, besides the original Cherry Pepsi can that was released in Ontario, Canada, I think this was the original version. And basically, they just had these holes that you had to punch through with a knife or something to open it up. There was another edition of Cherry Pepsi, a can that looked a lot like this. Instead of having those hole punchers on the top, it had this old school pull tab that you just pulled back like this, blink, instead of pulling the rem and pushing the tab inside. That is indeed an old school pull tab. And then, this is another Cherry Pepsi can from Ontario, Canada, but it's a promotional can. You could win instantly 1 compact disc jukebox, 25 pocket TVs, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. You get the point. Now, while this release was very impressive, the artwork is pretty fascinating, so make sure you get a nice look at this can. And then the old school pull tab. And last but not least, the promotional can, all from Ontario, Canada. Now, as expected, there were other countries that were catching on to this Cherry Pepsi madness. And what I have right here are 4 different cans from Germany. Now, I don't know this for 100% sure, but off of my basic intuitive knowledge, I'm pretty sure that this one, minus this one, is the oldest, the middle, and then the newest. And just by looking at this can, I'm pretty confident that this one probably takes the oldest spot. Starting with this one, the tall one, it's about 40% taller than all of these cans. Get a nice look at this. I don't know. That is a... Ooh! Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this, but that was a pull tab right there. It looks like the metal uh, tab broke off. And so it looks like this thing can't even be opened unless you just push it, which is definitely possible. Anyways, looking at these next three cans, you might think that they might look identical, but if you look very closely, the one to your guys' left, at the very top, the ring is quite a bit wider than the middle one. Now, the last two, they're pretty similar as far as the ring goes, but let's get into these two later. The top of this one, the ring is wider, and because the opening is a little bit longer, I think that's a more old school pull tab. This was a little bit more of an updated pull tab, and you could tell that this one's newer just by the shape alone, because most cans nowadays, they have that very orthodox oval shape, like a sphere. This one was just a little bit more like stick figure round than this one, if you know what I mean. But get a nice look at this one. This one, though, it looks like a lot more of the New Day cans as of today, as far as the shape goes. And as you can see, the metal tab was broke off. But I'll rotate these so you can get a nice look at them. Now at the bottom, that's obviously in German print. And to my understanding, the way you would pronounce it is Cola mit Kirscharoma. Moving forward. So up to this point, I have covered with you guys the history of Canada and both Germany. If I had other cans from different countries, I totally would have showcased them, but they're really hard to find. Now moving forward, by this point, you might have thought that the US headquarters of PepsiCo was sleeping on the idea of creating some sort of a cherry Pepsi. However, instead they had a different plan. 1 year later, after Cherry Pepsi was released in Ontario, Canada, and then Germany, the US headquarters of PepsiCo decided to come out with a brand new line of flavors called Slice because they wanted to attempt to expand on their brand. There were three new flavors that came out in the Slice line. It was Mandarin Orange, Apple, and Cherry Cola Slice. Luckily, I do have a bottle of Cherry Cola Slice from 1986 or 7, one of the two. And if you get a nice look at this, you'll notice that it doesn't really say Pepsi like it normally would because it really was a different line. Just get a nice look at that, viewers. Now, however, if you do look very closely, right there, it says from the makers of PepsiCo. And like most drinks, they did have a diet variation of the Cherry Cola Slice flavor. Luckily, I also have that can. Now, the story only gets more exciting, but before we move on, let's talk just a little bit about Cherry Cola Slice. So, as I told you guys, Cherry Cola Slice was released in 1986, and then it was discontinued in 1988, and that was when PepsiCo replaced this drink with Wild Cherry Pepsi. But before we get into the Wild Cherry Pepsi chronicles, let's talk a little bit about Cherry Cola Slice. Consider the following: because Cherry Cola Slice was only around for 2 years, these are very rare, either one of these. And if you have a original bottle of Cherry Cola Slice or a bottle of Cherry Cola Slice, that was the very first release of any cherry flavored soda from Pepsi. So this, for most US citizens, could be considered the absolute holy grail of all Pepsi soda collecting, maybe standing next to Mountain Dew Red. But that's a different story for another time. Now, if you are to find a Cherry Cola Slice to this very day that is full, sealed, and unopened, that is worth easily $700. As far as the diet can goes, probably the same rule would apply for the value. Now, these two containers right here are extraordinarily rare. This empty bottle, as it is probably worth $400. This diet can, I don't know, but what I can tell you guys is out of the entire 5 years of me being a Pepsi fan, which it all started out when I started following the LA Beast back around 2017 and fell in love with Crystal Pepsi, I've only ever seen 8 full sealed and unopened Cherry Cola Slice bottles. All of them that I have found have been full. But this is the only diet Cherry Cola Slice can I've ever seen in my entire life, and I have it. And the only one I've ever seen, which is this one, has already been opened. So I believe that a diet Cherry Cola Slice is even more rare than the original can. Let's move forward. Now, by this time in 1988, it was official. Wild Cherry Pepsi was released in USA. And what I have here to your guys' left is indeed a original 1988 Wild Cherry Pepsi can. And on your guys' right is the diet version. Completely authentic. The exact cans that came from that time. Let's take a look. These are very, very valuable cans. I think I paid $40, about $52 for this one, for even after shipping and handling. And then this one I paid about $55. Pretty cool. Now, by this time in 1995, as you guys can probably imagine, the artwork on the cans changed quite a bit. And what I have to your guys' left is indeed an authentic 1995 Wild Cherry Pepsi can. And then on your other guys' side is the diet version of the 1995 can. Now, moving forward, in 1996, what Pepsi did is they took both the regular and the diet cans and they made a grungy looking version of those exact cans. Let me show you. Supposed to be the same design, but they're grungy versions, if you know what I mean. The writing looks a little bit kind of sloppy, but that was on purpose. It was as if a child is the one who designed the can. And these are really cool. And actually, the diet one is a lot more valuable. I think I paid like $72 for that diet can, but I wanted it bad because I knew it was going to make a pretty good video. Now, as you guys could imagine, by this point, most countries were going under the name of Wild Cherry Pepsi now. However, there were still a few countries like Great Britain, Russia, and Germany that was still going under the name of Cherry Pepsi. Now, moving forward, all I have to share with you guys left is the 2003 version of the Wild Cherry Pepsi. I still have a bunch of Pepsi Wild Cherry cans to share with you, but I think before this one there's a 2002, maybe a 2001, maybe a 2000, maybe a 1999, I don't know. But there's still like 3 or 4 cans of Wild Cherry Pepsi that I'm missing, if you can believe that. But to my understanding, as far as I know, I could be wrong, I think this was the very last Wild Cherry Pepsi can before something else changed. And get a nice look at that. And this right here is a full can. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, 2 years later, after that can, in 2005, there were speculations by consumers that the ingredients might have changed and that Wild Cherry Pepsi indeed tasted differently. So what PepsiCo did in order to back their play is they rebranded and renamed and changed the ingredients in the new soda. And this is what the brand new Pepsi Wild Cherry looked like. Boom! It was official. The name of Wild Cherry Pepsi was flip-flopped to Pepsi Wild Cherry. This was the new formula that they had put together. And as you can see right there, it says great new taste. Now this is very close to the exact can. The original can looks just like the front does right here, but this one is a promotional can that is Chicago Air and Water Show. But if it was the exact original, this side would look just like this. But because this can was a little bit cheaper, I just went with this one. But that is exactly what the entire original Pepsi Wild Cherry official new release with the great new taste looks like. And then here's the diet version. Again, it says great new taste. Get a nice look at that. Boom! And then as time went on, there was a new design of the can. And this was either originally released in 2008, 9, or 10. But what it says on the bottom of this can is that this is from 2010. Take a nice look at this. It's a new design of Pepsi Wild Cherry that they had come out with. And then this is the diet version of that can, but this one, it says it's from 2009. So this new design of the regular and both the diet versions of this can could have even been in 2007 or 8, but at least 2009 for the earliest, as far as the proof is concerned from what I can see right here. Next, what we have here is a can of Pepsi Cherry Vanilla. Now, this flavor was originally released in 2010. However, this is a can from 2016. It was then re-released after 2010 in 2015 for a very short time only for the holiday seasons. And then in 2016, it came back again, only for Valentine's Day. Now, to my personal knowledge, this might be discontinued. It for sure is not available in every single region of the country of USA. I know that for absolute sure. But if it still does exist, it's very hard to find. Pepsi Cherry Vanilla. They did come out with a Pepsi Vanilla, but that's a story for another time. And I wasn't going to use this can, but because there's cherry inside of it, I thought it would be cool to add this to the history. So that's Pepsi Cherry Vanilla, ladies and gentlemen. Then, I believe either 2014 or 2015, this is a 2015 can, but I think in 2014, PepsiCo came out with a real sugar variant of Pepsi Wild Cherry. And then, dating all the way back, in the famous movie Grease, starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, they had featured two sodas that had come out in the movie. This one was one out of two of them, Pepsi Cola Soda Shop, Black Cherry Cola. The other one was Pepsi Cola Soda Shop, Cream Soda Cola. And then, in 2021, they decided to do a complete throwback of the Pepsi Cola Soda Shop Black Cherry Cola to remember Grease, the very iconic 1978 movie that so many of us love. I wasn't going to add this to the video as well, but because there's cherry in it, I thought it would be very fun to showcase to you guys. Now, as this very day goes, it being 2023, this is basically what a Pepsi Wild Cherry container looks like. This is what I have. A 2-liter, plastic bottle is what I have. But you can get these in 20-ounce bottles, and of course, you can get them in the 12-ounce cans. And then, here's the diet version of Pepsi Wild Cherry. And this is actually hard to find nowadays. I had to go to like 6 different stores today to find this. They also do have a Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry variant. And supposedly, the Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry is supposed to have an improved taste from the diet version. Now, while people like Badlands Chugs has mentioned that Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry is rare, that's not necessarily true. This is becoming a lot more common nowadays. And to my personal knowledge, having to go to 6 different stores, now this is just a theory, I don't know if I'm right, but I think that the Diet Pepsi Wild Cherry could be going out of style. And will it get discontinued? I don't know. But what I do know is it's still out there and it still exists. One more good look at the Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry, and that'll be it. Alright guys, so that was the complete history of Pepsi Wild Cherry, dating all the way back from 1982 to 2023. I thank you all for watching. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if you can, please give me a like. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below, because it will help boost the algorithm of this video on YouTube. And there are a lot of people out there that would probably kill to learn about all this history. There's only one other YouTube out there that goes by the name of Industrial Industries Radio, that goes by the nickname of DJ Glowing Ice, who has a video that basically founded all the original information of Pepsi Wild Cherry, and I think he has over 1,000 views. So make sure you share this one. This is very important information that a lot of people are going to want to know. Maximus the Fourth here. I thank you all for watching. Signing out. I will see you next time.